Hello friends, welcome to Seco Psycho. In this video, you're going to learn what is communication, which is very important skill, which is visibly tuning into clients. So basically communication means sharing your views, sharing your ideas. It's a two-way process. It not only includes verbal but also non-verbal things. So yeah, interpersonal communication competence means not only being good at the individual, but also marshalling them at the service of dialogue. There are four requirements for a good dialogue, for a true dialogue. They are turn taking, connecting, mutual influencing, co-creating outcomes. What is turn taking? Dialogue is a interactive. You talk, then I talk. In counseling also, when you're speaking, it should be a two-way. It must not be monologue. Monologue on the part of either client or helper don't add value. On the other hand, turn taking opens up the possibility for mutual learning. Helpers learn about the clients and base their interventions on what they come to understand through the give and take of the dialogue. Clients come to understand themselves and their concerns more fully and learn how to face up to the challenge, their problems and the opportunity present. And the second one is connecting. Connecting, it's like each person says in the conversation should be connected in some way to what the other person has said. The helper's comments should be connected to the client's remarks and ideally vice versa. Helpers and clients need to engage each other if their working alliance is to be productive. And what is mutual influencing? Each party in a dialogue should be open to being influenced by what the other person says. This echoes the social influence dimension of counseling is must in mutual influencing. Helpers certainly influence their clients and the best helpers learn from and are influenced by the clients. Therefore, counselors need to be open-minded and help the clients to be open to new learning. And finally, co-creating outcomes. Here, good dialogues leads to outcome that benefit both parties. Most of the time, the counselor act as a catalyst for the kind of problem managing dialogue that helps clients find their own answers. In true dialogue, neither party should know exactly what the outcome will be. If the counselor knows what he or she is going to tell to a client, or if the client has already decided what he or she is going to say and do, the two of them may well have a conversation, but it is probably not a dialogue. Only clients can change themselves, but because of the helping dialogue, these changes will have the mark of effective helpers on them. And the importance of empathic presence. Most of the people think that showing empathy is like sympathy. No, no, no. Empathy, sympathy, both are totally different. Sympathy is like you're drawing a boundary between client and the counselor. Empathy is like understanding from the perspective of a client. It is like a heart to heart from the client side, eye to eye from the client side. It is like it is a position you are listening carefully to the concerns, your attentions can be manifested in both physical and psychological when there is a empathy. And also, empathy is like stepping into shoes of the client. When you're stepping into the shoes of the client, you're thinking like a client, you're feeling like a client, you're acting like a client. And most people will appreciate it when others pay attention to them. By the same token, being ignored is often painful. So there is a saying, the awaited face is too often a sign of the awaited heart. The next thing is non-verbal behavior, which is very important in the communication. Most of the communication, 80% of the things lies in the non-verbal behavior. It also regulates the conversation, communicate emotions, modify verbal messages, provide important messages about the helping relationship, gives you insights into self-perceptions and provide clues that clients are not saying what they are saying. Non-verbal helps you to know whether the client is saying fact or he's saying a lie or something. So these are the things you need to keep in your mind, which includes in body language. So these are the behavior of each sense, each thing in your body. So take bodily behavior. It includes your posture, body movements and gestures. In high behavior, it includes eye contact, staring and eye movement. In facial expression, it includes smiles, frowns, raised eyebrows and twisted lips. Voice related behavior, it is like a tone of voice, pitch, volume, intensity, inflection, spacing of words, emphasizes, pauses, silences, and fluency. And observe automatic physiological responses. It is like your frequent breathing, blushing, paleness, and pupil dilation. And physical characteristics, which includes fitness, height, weight, and complexion. Space. The space is like how close you are or how far a person chooses to be during a conversation. General appearance, such as grooming and this. So these all behavior and these all things will affect the client's non-verbal behavior in counseling session. And the other thing which is very important, without this thing, there is no counseling. That is SOLAR. It is very, very important and it is a basic skill you need to know when you're counseling. What is SOLER in this skill? Let's see. S stands for face the square. Here we adopt a posture that indicates an involvement. It is like saying, I'm here with you, I'm available to you. Turning your body away from another person is like you talk to him or you are lessening your degree of contact with a person. Here, make sure that you sit squarely. Avoid face to face or circle way of placing your seats. The point is that your bodily orientation should convey the message that you are involved with the client. If for any reason facing the person squarely is too threatening, then an angle position may be more helpful. The point is not inches and angles, but the quality of your presence. Your body sends our messages whether you like it or not. Make them congruent with what you are trying to do. And O stands for adopt an open posture. We know sitting straight will increase our concentration. And if your back is not straight, it tells that you're bored. In the same way, open posture is saying that you're attentive, you're listening to them. Whereas crossed legs or crossed arms, it is a sign that you're lessening involvement with availability to others. And an open posture can be saying that you are open to the client and to what he or she has to say. And here one thing we need to keep in your mind. To what degree does my present posture communicate openness and availability to the client? If you're empathic and open-minded, let your posture mirror what is in your heart. And many people think that if you're straight, it shows attentiveness. If you're not straight, it is not attentive. But if empathy is coming from your heart, the posture will automatically get into open. The L stands for remember that is possible at times to lean toward the other. Here, when you watch a couple in a restaurant, you will feel that intimacy when they are leaning towards each other. It is a natural sign of their involvement. And leaning back, it is like you're not at all attentive to the conversation and you're bored. Leaning too far forward, however, or doing so too soon may frighten the client also. So that's why placing a demand on the other for some kind of closeness or intimacy is needed, and there must be flexibility or responsiveness that enhances your communication with the client. And bodily flexibility can mirror mental flexibility. And the fourth, which is very important, is eye contact. So maintaining good eye contact with a client is another way of saying, I'm with you, I'm interested, I want to hear what you have to say. Obviously, this principle is not violated if you occasionally look away. Indeed, you have to if you don't want to stay. But if you catch yourself looking away frequently, your behavior might give you a hint about some kind of reluctancy to be with this person. Or it might say something about your own reluctance to speak out and discomfort. So basically, maintaining eye contact is like a sharing your views from the client side, that is showing you empathy from your eyes. And also there is a saying, eyes are the windows of our soul. So if you want to show your soul, the real soul of yourself, so maintain a good eye contact. And the last and final thing, try to be relative, relaxed or natural in this behavior. So being relaxed means two things. First, it means not frightening nervously or engaging in distracting facial expression. The client might wonder what's working, what's making you nervous. Secondly, it means becoming comfortable with using your body as a vehicle of personal contact and expression. Your being natural in the use of these skills help put the client at ease. So that's all, friends. This is a solar you must keep in your mind when you're counseling. And thank you for watching the video.